So I'm Mike. Nice to meet you guys. I'm hoping that this program, you know, rolls for everyone at the school here. It really, like most things, it'll be mostly dependent on you guys, the students, right, and the people who come in, and what you guys do with it, how you make it your own, and what you'd like it to be. So don't be afraid to voice your opinions, to be proactive, to be engaging, all those things. Not just today as we chat for a few minutes, but also as this program continues to roll forward. Okay, this is for you to help you guys today in this program. I've been really lucky. I had a job out of college. I went to Ithaca College, and I had a job teaching soccer at Cornell, being a grad assistant coach at Cornell University for soccer. And this little company, it was about 8 years old, called ESPN. I just kind of talked to them, and they said, well, we can put you in the mailroom to deliver mail. And I said, no, thank you, because I didn't feel like I wanted to deliver mail. But my father, who really kind of, he let me alone and just kind of let me make my own decisions. It's the one time he said, you might want to think about this. And I jumped into ESPN, delivering mail, and now it's 4 years later. So I've only had one employer. A lot of different companies have owned it, but really I've been blessed and had some unbelievable experiences and met some really great people. That's truly what it's been about. But for me, it really hasn't been a job, and it's a labor of love. It's what I like. So I always suggest to anyone I talk to, never not take advantage of an opportunity. You may find out you really don't like that opportunity, but that's going to lead you to what you do like. So if you see yourself working for a long time, as I tell our kids, you might as well enjoy it, because you're going to work for a while if that's the direction you choose. For me, I've been lucky. I found something that I enjoy, the sports side and the TV side. So it's been a job, but it hasn't. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. So I can only hope that for you guys, that you find something that you're passionate about, and you're able to work at it, and then money and job and all that stuff rolls along when you find that, to me. So coming out of, we had the jobs links up there. We're not coming out, it's still a pandemic, right? But kind of creeping out of what this pandemic is, I think businesses are changing a lot. They're trying to find their way. I know at ESPN, in certain areas, they are looking for a lot of people to work. So there are companies out there, I think opportunities out there to kind of find what you want. And if you're into communications, and there's so many avenues and so many niche programmings. You know, when we were coming out, you couldn't go work as a chef on TV, right? You couldn't go work. There's so many niche programming things. So find what you like, and I can always, through Suzanne, always forward the ESPN Disney job links that come about, because I usually get those that are in my field, and you guys can see, and even go through the process of applying, even maybe if it's something you think I may not get, or just going through that process, I think is a helpful thing for you guys. So that's at the end of the day, right? People, we want jobs. You guys want jobs. So don't be afraid of that. Things are coming up. And in Bristol, a lot of people in Bristol, Disney has not allowed people to come back to the office. It's only essential people. I've been going up there to do some things, and a campus that's probably 4,000 people, there might be a couple hundred since COVID came into our lives. So, but the essentials and all these things that get the live shows on the air, the tape shows, they're looking for a lot of people. You want to call that?
So let's
call that softball picture.
The softball picture?
Sure.
What is that?
Just an email, a recent email.
Oh, recent email.
Yeah. You know, when I started, you know, we delivered mail. We kind of had contests to see who could deliver it the fastest. Maybe have a tilt board, things you can't do nowadays. But think about technology. There was no internet at the time, right? People just used no cell phones. People used phones, and when I jumped out of the mailroom, we sat in front of the AP wire and we ripped it and we gave it to the announcers, and that's how the ticker. That's how they found out their stories, right? So technology has made things easier in so many ways. I think it's also made things very challenging, and when you take Zoom into effect, right, because of the pandemic. Sometimes we do games now. I'm going to do a game tomorrow night, an NBA game. I'll be in Connecticut. Our cameraman will be in Los Angeles because we're doing a Laker game. So you don't see people. You don't get that connection, right? And for me, at least, I think a lot of people, that is a big part of it, the chemistry, the connection you have of working together towards a common goal. So really, from my perspective, you have to focus on that because you're not together. And I see it with the generations, like with our kids, just the phone, right, all those things. So for me, it's still important to have that communication that you have to have with people. For instance, I'll have a Zoom camera meeting, and I tell our camera folks, it can be, I don't care where you are, it can be on your phone, I don't care. Let's look at each other. Let's say hello, let's wave, see each other's faces, all those kinds of things. So that's a big challenge that we're continually working on all the time. This is from maybe 90. We used to play in the Hartford, Connecticut morning softball league. So that was the end of my athletic career. We won the title that year, the softball Hartford League. That was it. I crewed in college, and that was the last time. I think I'm in there somewhere.
Looks like Garrett, yeah.
So you think that looks like Garrett?
Yeah.
I think so.
You
Yeah.
look so young there.
Yeah, thanks.
Amazing.
She met me after. I didn't have hair really when she met me, so
Sorry.
that was it. Huh? But the first thing I think about is, oh my, like, how did 30 years go by, right? And you guys are young, and you have the luxury of time. That's awesome, right? That's the first thing I think about. Like, oh my gosh, where did 30 years go? But as I said, I've been really, really lucky, and I was at ESPN in the heyday, where at the time, not that we didn't worry about budgets, but we didn't worry about budgets. That was kind of 10th on the list. We worried about how do we make the screen look really good. It's not the same today. It's a little different. 50+% of the meetings I'm in are about budgets and efficiency and those, and really not discussions about the screen. I'm lucky enough in my job that I'm still responsible for what goes on the screen. So that's the really good part. But you guys, you have time, and we're in a little town in France, and we were the last TV people to try to feed a segment on, and there's a 60-year-old Frenchman who didn't speak English, and he was going to turn the power off to everything in the city, and my bosses in Connecticut say, no, you can't. So how do you, and never underestimate food. I did it with a sandwich, right? It was a baguette to him. I bought him a sandwich, and I said, he took 20 minutes to eat the sandwich, he kept the power on, we fed the segment down. Just all those little things, right? Problem solving. So you guys should, as you're working through classes, etc., whatever, always, there are always problems, right? And you'll learn if you have a boss, you don't want to go to your boss with just the problem. Say, here's the problem or challenge, that's probably a better word. Here's what I think maybe we could do to help with this challenge, right? So just kind of have that mindset as much as possible as you go through classes, as you go through jobs, whatever you may be going through.
Do you want to share that, think about, the problems like you faced, like the president?
Oh yeah. So here's just, you guys get engaged, and I'll
Where's that?
Where we go?
that's the email I just sent her.
Okay.
Bottom
Three
right.
true.
3 trues.
So 3 of these things are true and one's
Around the
false.
Bottom low left
Right here?
to the right.
Got it.
3, 2, 1 false. Okay.
All right, so you guys have to guess. 3 are true, one's not true.
He aims to kill the president.
I had to minimize this a little bit to bring it to share the screen for everybody else so they can see. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to share the screen for the Zoom folks so they can see it as well. And Mike, just we have a couple of students in another room in the hall who are joining us as well remotely. So when you're presenting, you just speak a little bit louder so they can hear you.
Cut.
You
But
can
now
sit
everyone
here
can
if
see
you
this.
want.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to stand.
Everyone can see this now, so we're good to go.
So you're closer to the speaker. There you go. So which one is false?
Which one is false?
I worked in the fields, I'm not going to guess.
The first one is true.
I think it's number 4.
The fourth one is true.
I got it.
I think it's 2.
Mike, I got it.
3 is false.
We have a guest right here in the chat.
Sue is the
Hold
best
on.
story of all time.
I told
Somebody
that
on the
story.
chat says
Sue's the
3.
best story of all time.
Yeah.
So on number 1, when I first started directing, we were at the women's Final Four. It was an election year. President Clinton wanted to come on after the game and speak with the winning coach, who happened to be Pat Summitt from the University of Tennessee. So they said they had to clear us all, and they sent a Secret Service agent, as they always do. So I was very new to directing, and one of the cues you give when you kill a microphone, to turn off a microphone, is kill Suzanne's mic, kill Jerry's mic. Well, I was so intent on making sure that we closed the president's mic when he was done, so he didn't say anything extraneous on television. I kept asking the producer, let me know the last answer, let me know the last answer, let me know, and he finally said, okay, this is the last answer. So I didn't even know I was doing it. I just said, kill the president. I wanted his microphone shut, and the Secret Service agent kind of grabbed my shoulders from behind, and there was a boss in the truck who quickly pulled him aside and explained what had happened.
TV talk.
TV talk. But yeah, I did give that command. The second one is really awesome because indirectly, Suze and I
That's how we
kind
met.
of met. But I flew to Sacramento, and 6 uniformed policemen took me off the plane, literally by my elbows, and they had a yellow taped area off to the side. And the USA Today paper had Andrew Cunanan, who had murdered.
Versace.
Who was it?
Designer.
Versace.
You guys were young, but this was.
He was on the loose, and they thought he was going to California.
Yeah.
So they had a sketch artist put in the USA Today what he may look like if he had a. So I guess I had a scruffy beard and I looked like one of the pictures. So the pilot called ahead to Sacramento State Police to say that Andrew Cunanan was on their flight. So, yeah, that was fun.
But then but finish the story, which is the
So with Reggie Miller was our analyst at the time. He was still playing, but it was his off season. So of course I was in coach. He was in first class. So I said, Reggie, I'll meet you at baggage claim. And he said, okay. The policemen, they figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't Andrew Cunanan. But they said, we need someone to identify you or we have to take you downtown no matter what. And I said, well, I'm traveling with Reggie Miller. I'm going to meet him in baggage claim. So now 2 of the cops are sports fans. And they're like, Reggie Miller? Yeah. I said, yes, Reggie Miller. So they wanted to go meet Reggie. So they walked up to him, they found him, and they said, sorry, Mr. Miller, we just need you to identify you're traveling with this person. And he said, I've never seen that kid before in my life. And he looked at him, and I said, you all look the same to me, officer. But it was a good story. It was a WNBA game, and one of the cops, policemen, had a couple daughters, and we got them tickets to the game, and they came in the truck. All's well that ends well. And when I remember, no cell phones, no technology. That was a Thursday or a Friday. When I got back into the office Monday, that story had gone crazy, right? I had been locked up for the weekend, and so somebody calls me from the NBA, Suzanne, do this.
And I said, are you Mike Schwab? I said, were you arrested? Like,
were you the one who was arrested?
It went around the NBA, entertainment, like that. So everyone's like, do you hear about the director from ESPN got arrested for being a serial killer? I'm like, oh no, who? And so that's why I had to call him, but that was fun.
So that's how we would always play pickup somewhere the day before the game, and Reggie was with us. So that's how I was able to score 1 basket on Reggie. I will say after I did score, the next play, he dunked on me. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's posterized, because posterized means the defender jumps, right?
Yeah.
I didn't jump. He just winked, so. But it's one of the perks for me. I've met so many great people. Why don't we call up the Corso first head gear YouTube clip? Just met some.
Jerry's your TT
Should we
today.
like
Jerry's
drive third link?
Jerry's the TT.
Where are we going?
Name it right, Jerry.
Right to the right.
One more.
See, no,
Right
right.
here?
No, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep
No, no,
going,
no, no, no.
keep going.
You go.
Corso. That's Corso to the right. 2 more.
2 more.
There.
Right there. No.
No.
Oh,
No.
sorry.
Hey, Jerry, tell what
It
you
was
did.
the third one, I
Oh,
think.
sorry.
overall.
All right, I'm gonna keep it.
There you go.
All right.
So before we roll this, that's Chris Fowler on the left. If you know, he does the college football ABC primetime national championship game. Lee Corso, AJ and I were just talking. Lee it's been almost 10 years he had a stroke.
Yeah.
And he's come back he came back strong, and Kirk Herbstreit and the guys really help him on the air. It is getting, he's 87.
I think he's older now.
88, yeah, I think he's going to be 89. So I think we as a company and as a department have to really be careful that we don't put him in a position, right, where he's really vulnerable on air. And unfortunately, health was getting to that point. But, and that is Herbstreit on the right. This is the first time, if you ever watch Game Day, where he put on headgear. They always would choose who they think is going to win the big game. So let's roll this.
I like Ohio State 24-13. All right, good pick. I'll tell you what they.
So that's 25 years old now, and he still does that to end the show. And they've gone to great lengths to put him in different positions, and they still laugh just as much as they did that first time. And to me, I tell people that we work with, and there's a lot of challenges, etc. But when we're having fun producing the event, and the announcer's having fun on the air talking about the event, then the viewer has fun. Ultimately, everything we do, for me, and every decision we make,
This is the dimension of imagination.
is about the viewer. And Lee Corso, we have a group of people who are kind of getting up there. Hubie Brown, who coached the Knicks in the NBA. He won an ABA title in Kentucky. Coached at Duke as an assistant. He's 88 years old. He's going on the road tomorrow to Milwaukee. He's traveling right now, and he'll be on air. And if you guys have ever been to a sporting event or an NBA event, it's loud, right? They jam that in-house show and the music, and it's 10 at night. And sometimes I'm thinking, wow, my brain is. And he's 88, right there on the court. He's sharp as ever. A great storyteller. He came out of, he hadn't traveled in COVID, and he went to Philly last year. So we went and met him and did a game, and we just got something to eat at the hotel. He sat down, I think it was 2.5 hours. He just told stories from his career. Great storyteller. And then the other is Dick Vitale, if you guys know, right? Who is, yesterday was in the hospital undergoing chemotherapy. He has cancer. Unbelievable man, unbelievably generous man. Kind of put ESPN on the map back in the day. Chris Berman did with his nicknames in SportsCenter before anybody knew what ESPN really was. And Vitale did through college basketball with his delivery, right? And again, if you look at it, they're all about fun. They just want to have fun. Let's call up. Maybe we call up the Valvano SV. Can we forward in? Can we fast forward once you get there?
Yeah, where do you want to go to?
I think it's about 2.5. Title, A Cinderella Story at North Carolina State. At this point, he had retired from coaching. He was working for us as an analyst, and he had cancer. So he knew he was going to pass away. He went to ESPN and said, "Can we start something? I'd like to raise money for cancer." So we started a sports award show. The bosses started a sports award show, and it's called the ESPYs. So this is the first ESPYs. This is his first speech. I think what people don't know about this speech, and he's so dynamic, that was his personality. He was barely able to make it to New York. Nobody thought that he would be able to walk up the steps. They were just going to bring a microphone to his seat for him just to say thank you. He passed away less than 7 weeks after this. But he knew what his mission was, and it is to this day. The Valvano Foundation is almost at $300 million in grants that they've given solely for fighting cancer and beating cancer. So this was a very long speech. I think we had it. It's a fairly funny part when he first coached at Rutgers before he went anywhere.
Ask me all the time about how you
you go through your life and how's your day. And nothing has changed for me. As Dick said, I'm a very emotional, passionate man. I can't help it. That's being the son of Rocco and Angelina Valvano. It comes with the territory, right? We hug, we kiss, we love. And when people say to me, how do you get through life or each day, it's the same thing. To me, there are three things we all should do every day. We do this every day of our life. You're going to have, what a wonderful, number one is laugh. You should laugh every day. Number two is think. You should spend some time in thought. And number three is you should have your emotions moved to tears. To be happiness or joy. But think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special. And so, I can't help. I rode on the plane up today with Mike Krzyzewski, my good friend and a wonderful coach, and people don't realize he's a 10 times better person than he is a coach, and we know he's a great coach. He's meant a lot to me these last 5 or 6 months of my battle. But when I look at Mike, I think we competed against each other as players. I coached against him for 15 years, and I always have to think about what's important in life is to think to me of three things: where you started, where you are, and where you're going to be. Those are the three things that I try and do every day. And, you know, when I think about getting up and giving a speech, I can't help it. I have to remember the first speech I ever gave. I was coaching at Rutgers University. That was my first job. Oh, that's wonderful. And I was the freshman coach. That's when freshmen played on freshman team. And I was so fired up about my first job. I see Coach Holtz here. What was it like the first job you had, right? The very first time you stood in the locker room to give a pep talk. That's a special place, the locker room, for a coach to give a talk. So my idol as a coach was Vince Lombardi. And I read this book called Commitment to Excellence by Vince Lombardi. And in the book, Lombardi talked about the first time he spoke before his Green Bay Packer team in a locker room. They were perennial losers. And I'm reading this, and Lombardi said he was thinking, should it be a long talk, a short talk? But he wanted to be emotional. He said, be brief. And this is what he did. Normally you get in the locker room, I don't know, 25 minutes, a half hour before the team takes the field. You do your X and O's, and then you give the great Newt Rockney talk. We all do. Speech number 84. You pull them right out. You get ready. Get your squad ready. This was the first one I ever gave. And I read this thing, Lombardi, what he said was, he didn't go in. He waited. His team was wondering, where is he? Where is this great guy? He's not there. 10 minutes. He's still not there. 3 minutes before they have to take the field, Lombardi comes in, bangs the door open, and I think you all remember what great presence he had. Right? Great presence. And he walked in, and he just walked back and forth like this, just walking, staring at the players. And he said, all eyes on me. And I'm reading this in this book, and I'm getting a picture of this Lombardi before his first game. And he said, gentlemen, we will be successful this year. You can focus on three things and three things only: your family, your religion, and the Green Bay Packers. And the rest of it, they knocked the walls down. The rest was history. I said, that's beautiful. I'm going to do it. Your family, your religion, and Rutgers basketball. That's it. I had it. Listen, I'm 21 years old. The kids I'm coaching are 19. All right? And I'm going to be the greatest coach in the world, the next Lombardi. And I'm ready. And I'm practicing out right inside the locker room. The manager told me, you got to go in. Not yet. Family, religion, Rutgers basketball. Oh, I got it. And now finally he said, 3 minutes. I said, fine. True story. I go to knock the doors open, just like Lombardi. Boom! It didn't open. I almost broke my arm. I was like, it was when it didn't open. Now I'm down. The players are looking. You know, coach, help the coach up. Help him up. You know? And now I did like Lombardi. I walked back and forth. Right? And I was going like that. My arm was feeling back in. And finally I said, gentlemen, all eyes on me. These kids wanted to play. They're 19. Let's go. I said, gentlemen, we'll be successful this year if you can focus on three things and three things only. I said, your family, your religion, and the Green Bay Packers. How good that? I remember that. I remember where I came from. It's so important to know where you are. And I know where I am right now. How do you go from where you are to where you want to be? And I think you have to have an enthusiasm for life. You have to have a dream, a goal. You have to be willing to work for it. I talked about my family. My family is so important. People that I have to encourage my family, my wife Pam, my three daughters here, Nicole, Jamie, and Mom, who is right here too, and
So, for started and to work on it over the years, and to realize that, there's a, they brought Mike Krzyzewski, who they talked about. They talked to Mike after he had passed. This was a few years after Mike Krzyzewski was with Jim Valvano when he passed away, literally with him. And he said, someone asked him, do you remember the last thing he said? He said, no, I don't. I honestly don't, because I don't think of him as passing away. He said to me, I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to live on with cancer, right? I want to beat cancer. So when you think about it, what that man did, he found enthusiasms over the year, and now $300 million later, all the people potentially that saved their lives, right? So that, for me, just kind of, first of all, knowing what he went through just to literally walk up on that stage. But just about enthusiasm, right, when we talk about that. And sometimes it's hard, right? But again, I think it goes back for you guys to, as you're going through this process and you're in school and figuring things out, whatever that may be, wherever you are, whatever you want to do, find something that you're enthusiastic. Never apologize for that. Go for it. Just whatever that means for you. So that was a really important lesson for me early in my career.
Why don't you talk about, so they know what you do as a director? Like some people don't know, right?
Well,
So the
you have
process, the picture.
You have the picture of the truck?
Yeah, it's in my
Should be
email
the-
from me, Jerry. It's in my email. It's from.
So I don't know if you guys you could take production classes where you get behind cameras and things like that. So I'm a director, and at ESPN, roles are defined. So you don't initially you might do different things, but as the I think as a sports analogy, the producer is kind of the coach, and the director maybe is the quarterback if it was a football game, right? The producer decides, okay, this is what I'd like to do, this is what I want to talk about, and then the director executes everything. So anytime there's a change on the screen, a camera shot, a microphone open, music played, a graphic put into the show, you're literally giving the commands to execute those.
I didn't know about this. This is fun.
This was, we were in the bubble. We went down to the bubble for the NBA, if you remember the bubble, which was a fun collaboration. TNT was down there. We all worked together in Disney World. That's me on the left. That's our technical director who, if we really want to get down to it, he's the one who makes everything visually change on the screen. If he doesn't hit a button, nothing will ever happen, right? But he's taking direction for me. That's me on the left. So this is a typical monitor wall where we put our sources, our cameras, our replays, our graphics, etc. So as a director, one thing you have to learn specifically with directing is eye discipline. Think about it. You never want to take your eye off of program, which is what the viewer's seeing, right? You always want to, but then you have to ready the next shot or whatever you're going to next. So you have to check that before you go to it. So that's a skill that you learn over time is how you train your eyes. I always want to keep my eye on the program monitor because that is what's going on, and you want to react to that, and it's live and it's always changing. But you want to confidence check what you're going to next, so you don't go to a bad shot, a bad replay, a bad whatever. So you're responsible. You can set up the wall any way you want with all the sources in there. I like to have fun when I'm directing, and all you have to do is communicate with people and they understand. I'm a little quirky. We were down in the Australian Open, and you're there for a long time, and I don't kind of call things. We come up with nicknames, and we'll do a segment, and it's a Fred Sanford with a Rocky and a Gladys Knight, and that's all I'll call it, and everybody knows what we're talking about, So, but I think when you're learning, you stick to the basics. You're going to be or not.
Are you the screaming director or the cool director? Because I've worked with both, and you'd rather not have the screaming director.
No, I'm not the screaming director, but
You never worked with him, though.
oh yeah. Yeah.
NBC for the NBA.
I've had things thrown at me when I was the associate director, which means you're getting in and out of all the commercials and all the. I've had a duck a few times. I once before again cell phones. We were at the World America's Cup in San Diego, and I couldn't sail from me to you. Nothing about sailing, but I was the associate director, and so they set us up, and we had phones and where we stayed with voicemail. And I remember getting a message from my boss, and all it said was, United Flight 200, leaves at 10, be on it. You know, that was the way of him firing me, because he didn't like something I did during the day. I think I got fired 3 times that trip.
From Jen?
Yeah, yeah. But I showed up the next day, and
Yeah.
he said, okay, you're not fired.
But in those days, I think, you know, I just remember being in TV truck with NBC. This is before I even met Mike. When I worked at the NBA, the directors were screamers, and you could say, you could curse, and you
Oh my God.
the cursing and the yelling.
Yeah, it was
You can't do that
raw.
anymore.
I worked an NBA truck. It was a
Yeah.
playoff preview for Sports Channel. I won't mention the guy's name now, but you probably know him.
Yeah.
And he said things to me. And I was just like a feature producer, like running tape and stuff. And when it was done, it was like I had been in a submarine under depth charge attack. And I got up and I'm staggering out on the 33rd Street. And he goes, come on, we're going out for a beer. And I'm like, no.
You screamed at me for 3 hours,
I'm like,
man.
no. Just no.
That's that's what it was, and it had to change, and it did change. That I don't want to say you can't get away with it, because it sounds like that's a good thing to get
It
away
still
with.
gets heated.
And
I bring
some
students
guys
in
get
the
heated.
MSG's truck once in a while at Devils, well maybe not anymore, but
Yeah.
we used to do that. And they'd occasionally get something a little hairy.
Yeah.
But not like it used to be.
Well,
Not at all.
the WNBA finals in Houston.
Oh, so we're doing the WNBA finals. It might have been the first year.
It was, I
Or
was down
second
there.
year. I think it was
the
the
first
second year. So I don't know if you remember the Bash brothers, Sosa and McGuire were hitting home runs. So one of ESPN's hallmarks that made them is they were the first ones to cut in while they were at one event. They would cut into a different event live for a big moment. The first one, anyone know the first one? Danny Ainge was a guard at BYU, and in the tournament, might have been a first or second round, he beat Notre Dame on a buzzer beater. Danny Ainge has since played, won a couple titles, been a general manager, and now retired from the Celtics, I think. So that's kind of, so anyways, Mark McGuire was going to break Roger Maris's home run record and hit 61 home runs in a year, whatever it was. So we're on the air with the WNBA, we're in the finals, and the programming guy is in the truck. He just does all the programming. He's not involved in the live broadcast, but he's in the truck. He's with the head of the NBA, who is in charge of the WNBA. And our producer gets told, hey, McGuire's on deck. Stand by to have your announcers throw to St. Louis for his at-bat. And I just hear in the background the NBA representative said, there's no effing way you're leaving our game.
That's
And
why I
our
left the
programming
truck.
guy says, I'm sorry, that's what we do. And it became a heated verbal argument. So we're in the front bench, and we're kind of looking, and then someone is saying, hey, throw, McGuire's on his way to a bat. And it was a good lesson for me. The producer said, throw. And he let the battle continue behind him, and I asked him afterwards, like, how did you just, it was chaos. How did you decide? He said, that guy's not my boss. He doesn't pay me. That guy pays me. He's my boss, right? But he was right. Like the battle was not at our level, and we had a job to do that was our job. So we executed what our job was from our boss, and then let it land where it lands after that. But think about it. When you're in the moment and you're live and you're cutting cameras and you're, I always like a quiet truck. Some people say, can you turn the volume up in the truck? And I'll say, let's get you a headset, put it in your ear so you can listen in your ear. The louder the truck gets, the louder people get, the louder everything gets, the less efficient you are. So some people do like it. I like it. I would have it silent in the truck and listen to everything in your headset because it allows you to focus more. But sometimes there's just chaos. And in the context of Suze will say to me, you guys aren't saving lives, right? You're not in an emergency. But yeah, we know that. But in the moment when you're live, sometimes it gets a little heated. But if you're a producer, if you're involved in the live event, executing something, you have to kind of be able to filter and let all those things roll by you and figure out what's important in the moment. And honestly, that's part of the fun. We did, I guess it was last year, we did a football game in New Orleans, and a storm came through, and we were in a commercial, and everything went black. And people were just, you have to figure it out, and you problem solve, and you figure it out. And we ended up that Vidge, who's on the right, that whole board on Fizz was dead, but he has a little router with buttons that actually sends a signal on the transmission path that gets to air. So I said, do you have anything on that path? And he said, I have one camera. All right, punch it. So it was easy directing for me when you have one camera. There's nothing else to cut, right? I couldn't mess that one up. But so I called the guy on the cell phone who was running the camera. I was like, hey, we have your picture. Do you hear me up? All right, go ahead. So, you know, we just problem solve.
So, let's show one more clip and then take Q&A, like questions, guys, if you have any. Just want to show the clip of Doris? Because talking about, we didn't show any
The
markers.
Twitter one is the
Yeah.
Doris one.
Yeah, so this is, it's funny, it's Doris. This is women's Final Four. I think it was the semifinal. UConn had won 4 titles in a row, undefeated, and this was a buzzer beater that they lose. So we just had this camera so we can watch them. And so we always tell, that's Kara Lawson, she's also an analyst for this game. You know, you always tell your analysts when there's a big moment, let the play-by-play person, who's Dave on the right, let them handle the moment, right? You guys lay out, you'll find your time, we'll tell you when you can talk about it. That's really hard to do. Sometimes if you're watching a game and you hear 2 people talking at the same time, it's usually because the analyst is so excited they just let it out. So this is a great example of Doris and Kara not saying anything when perhaps they wanted to. You can see Doris like, okay, she kind of checked herself, right?
But that's professional. She's a professional. No, I think she's just trying to control it. She's trying to not say it.
Mississippi State in overtime at the buzzer. Morgan Williams. Mississippi State has ended the streak.
That's a good example of that.
So, you know, you for instance, in football, for directing, the day before the game, the producer, we have what's called a tape producer. He's in charge of the replays of the show. Every Friday we would grab lunch, a sub, we would sit in the stands of an empty stadium and we would go over every scenario. End of game, tie game, visiting teams, kicking a field goal on the left. What are we doing? And we would run through as many scenarios as we could. And then, you know, you learn that over the years with preparation. You know, when you're really prepared for as many scenarios as you can, that allows you to stay calm in those moments. And last year we had 3 buzzer beaters. We had, including the Peach Bowl. I think Georgia hit a field goal to win that game. And because we had talked about it, I would say, you know, I would lay out and I'd say to the camera guys, okay, listen to AJ. He's going to tell you what to do. And he would relay efficiently what we talked about in the stands on Friday. And we would do it in 20 seconds. There's your marching orders, go, stay disciplined, boom. And then if the moment happens, you're ready to go, you know where everybody is, they know what they're doing. And those are things you learn, just how prepared you can. And sometimes for me, you can be too prepared. Right. I remember when John Gruden was in our Monday Night Football booth, when he went into Super Bowl whatever, when he beat the Raiders when he was with Tampa, he had a board. And he told I was ready for 468 scenarios. And I said to him, John, if I was ready for 400, I wouldn't be able to execute one, you know. So you kind of, as you go through things, always be prepared, find what it means to you, right? Preparation could be anything. You guys prepare for a paper, a test, you know, does what works, you know, find what works for you and stay disciplined to that. So that was a good clip just to see how Doris and Kara checked themselves, made sure they laid out and let Dave handle that, which was, in that sport at that time, that was a historic moment.
So, do you guys have any questions?